Hey everyone, this is Shirley, and this is another episode of Resolution of the Heart. We are going to finish this book. It is Friday the 15th, and let's get it done. We only have a couple of pages. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I do have another book in store to look. I had started this book, but I didn't finish this book, so I'm thinking the next book would be perfect because I can start it with you guys, and by doing this with you guys online, I feel like I have to complete it. I want to complete it, but I have to complete it because I know at least one person or maybe two will be here to follow up with me, make sure I stay on top of things, listen to it while you're doing something else. That's pretty, whatever, I just hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Any new people, please definitely come back and subscribe, like, and leave a comment. So we are in the book on the way to Krishna. Um, and we're on page 66 because we really did do a lot, and I think we only have like 2 pages left. Okay, 6 pages, I had said. So let's get started. If you don't know, just go back to the next one and you'll be caught up, okay? So we're going to start at the top. It says, just the one thing I will tell you, the chapter is called wait a minute, Steering Towards the Supreme. Okay, page 66. But generally, it takes many, many years and many, many births to realize what God is. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who know this perfectly engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. The Vedanta Sutras also confirm that the absolute truth is He from whom everything is born. If we truly believe that Krishna is the origin of everything, and if we worship Him, our whole account is closed in 1 second. But if one doesn't believe and says, "Oh, I want to see what God is," he has to go by stages by realizing the impersonal Brahman effulgence and then the Paramatma, the localized feature, before finally coming to the last stage of realizing, oh, here is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'm going to make a comment here, and please forgive me for any mistakes. There's a link in the bottom below if you want to get more information or clarification of what I am trying to say. So anyway, it says, where it says, but one does not believe and says, oh, I want to see what God is. He go by stages by realizing the impersonal Brahman effulgence. Now remember, we talked before, in previous chapters about the effulgence, that like becoming one with God, and you know more personality, but just that you're that one, that merging. And then the Paramatma, which I'm always talking about, is God is within your heart. Okay, and then that's one stage, the localized feature, before finally coming to the last stage of realizing, oh, here is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It should be understood, however, that the process takes more time. When one when one through many years of research come to realize the absolute truth, he concludes Vasudeva Sarvam Ita. Vasudeva is all that is. So Vasudeva is all that is. And we do hear, and I have heard people say in our community, our crafting community, is that the Almighty, or I forgot the other name, all that is, but they don't say Vasudeva, okay? But that's what they represent, I assume. If they knew him more, and if they go through all the stages, but basically, Vasudeva is all that is, which is true. Vasudeva is a name for Krishna, and it means he who lives everywhere. Realizing that Vasudeva is the root of everything, he surrenders. The surrendering process is the ultimate goal. Either one does it immediately or after many bursts of research work. In either case, surrender must be there by realizing that God is great and I am his subordinate. And we did talk about, or on that last, we did read in the last paragraph how there is that belief from us, human beings, that God is good. But the other stuff is when you realize God is great and he is great. And we can see why he is great, because he who lives everywhere, everything, everywhere. Just think about that. Everywhere. Okay? I think about what about some of the worst places are some of the places where you would think, well, God is not there. But the thing is that even in some of the worst beings, um, he is still watching. He is still seeing the decisions they make because they are conscious soul and he is the Paramatma in their heart. So he is everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. That's just one example that I love to think about too. So the surrendering process is the ultimate goal. And that ultimate goal to be able to surrender to God, to it, as humans, is hard because we are so used to trying to handle things and make things right, but we just don't have the foresight to see all that is beyond, you know, and to be able to give up that power that we think we have, to give that up and say, I did this and I leave it in your hand, or pray before you do it, really meditate on it and leave it to God. And that's something that I'm learning right now at this very moment, is how to surrender. There's only so much I can do, and then I have to give it over to God. But before I do it, I'm learning to not just sit around and wait, taking the actions to do, but making sure that I'm not doing it for my own satisfaction, if you get what I'm saying. Some things we do because we want to say, yeah, you know, I accomplished that, or I overcame that. But then some things you go through life, and you want to give that glory to him. It's not something that you did because it's like he picks it up and he moves it along. And I'm seeing that slowly in my life, where he picks things up and he moves it along. I'm looking, I know in some situations what I really want to happen, but I also have to say, if it's your will, let it be done, Tatsan. That's what I have learned how to say. So back to, that's just an example of what I'm learning through surrendering. So the surrendering process is the ultimate goal. Either one does it immediately or after many bursts of research work. In either case, surrender must be there by realizing that God is great and I am his subordinate, and we all are, whether we like it or not. Understanding this, that was my add-on. I'm sorry, that little part there. Understanding this, the wise man will surrender immediately and not wait to take many, many births. He understands that this information is given by the Supreme Lord out of his infinite mercy on the conditioned soul. We are all conditioned souls, suffering the threefold miseries of this material world. Now the Supreme Lord is giving us the opportunity to escape these miseries by the surrendering process. At this point, one may ask that if the Supreme Personality is the ultimate goal and one has to surrender to him, why are there so many different processes of worship in the world? The question is answered in the next verse. And there's some Sanskrit that I'm not going to attempt, but it's those whose minds are distorted by material desire surrender unto the demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. There are many different types of men in the world, and they are functioning under the different modes of material nature. Generally speaking, most men are not after liberation. If they take to spirituality, they wish to gain something by spiritual power. If it is not uncommon in India for a person to go to a Swami and say, Swami Ji, could you give me some medicine? I'm suffering from this disease. He thinks that because a doctor is too expensive, he can go to a Swami who can work miracles. In India also there are Swamis who go to people's houses and preach. If you give me 1 ounce of gold, I can make it into 100 ounces of gold. The people think I have 5 ounces of gold. Let me give it to him, and I'll give five. I'll get 500 ounces. And this way, the Swami collects all the gold in the village, and after collecting he vanishes. This is our disease. When we go to a Swami or a temple or a church, our hearts are filled with material desires, wanting some material profit out of the spiritual life. We practice yoga just to keep our health fit. But in order to keep healthy, why take shelter of yoga? We can become healthy through regular exercise, regulated diet. Why resort to yoga? Because commies, okay, we're going to skip that, which right there. We have the material desire to keep ourselves fit and to enjoy life by going to church and making God our order supplier. Having material desires, men worship various demigods. They have no idea out of matter, how to get out of matter. They want to utilize the material world to its best capacity. For instance, in Vedic literature, there are so many recommendations. If you want to cure his disease, he worshiped the sun. Or if a girl wants a good husband, she worshiped Lord Shiva. Or if one wants to become beautiful, he worships such and such god. Or if one wants to become educated, he worshiped God Saravati. In this way, Westerners often think that the Hindus are polytheistic, but actually this worship is not to God but to the demigods. We should not think that the demigods are God. God is one, but there are many demigods who are also living entities just like us. So what do you think about that? Because, you know, as humans, we think that, oh, we are the superior, we are the highest species, and there's no other. But what we are starting to understand from this very old Vedic literature that goes way, way, way back before Christ, from my understanding, um, that there are demigods. Okay? So when you're looking for a particular thing in your life, you know, you are definitely worshiping a demigod. Now, that's what I got from it. You can leave your comment below. So we should not think that demigods are God. Now, they are not the Almighty God. They are not the Supreme. They are not Krishna. God is one, but there are many demigods who are also living entities just like us. The difference is that they have a considerable amount of power. On this earth, they may be a king or a president or a dictator. These are men like us, but they have some extraordinary power, and in order to get favor from them, to take advantage of their power, we worship them in one way or another. But the Bhagavad Gita condemns worship of demigods. This verse clearly states that people worship the demigods due to kama, K-A-M-A, kama, material lust. The material life is simply based on lust. We want to enjoy this world, and we love the material world because we want to gratify our senses. The lust is a perverted reflection of our love of God. In our original constitution, we are made to love God. But because we have forgotten God, we love matter. Love is there. Either we love matter or we love God. But in no case can we get out of this loving propensity. Okay, Let's see, let me go. Either we love matter or we love God, but in no case can we get out of this loving propensity. So isn't that amazing? Okay? You either love matter or you love God. And we see in this world today, it is a plethora of loving material things. I mean, it is like gone wild. We love our things before we love people. Some people, a lot, you know. Having things is more important than having love for God. Yeah, that's something to think about, you know. Now realize it's not saying you cannot have things, you know, but there's that one thing. You're either gonna love God or you're gonna love the things, okay? So he's not saying that you have to be poverty stricken, you know, but just don't forget that word love and who you should be loving. Indeed, we often see that when one doesn't have children, he loves a cat or a dog. Why? Because we want and need to love something. In the absence of reality, we put our faith and love in cats and dogs. Love is always there, but it is distorted into the form of lust. When this lust is baffled, we become angry. We become angry. We become illusion. And my eyes are skipping, y'all. I'm going to get my little paper here. So, lust, if battled, we become angry. When we become angry, we become illusion. And when we are illusion, we are doomed. This is the process that is going on. But if we have to reverse this process and turn lust into love, if we love God, we love everything. But if we do not love God, it is not possible to love anything. We may think that it is love, but it's simply a glamorized form of lust. That's very interesting. That's something to think about. Those who have become the dogs of lust are said to have lost all good senses. There are many rules and regulations for the worship of demigods in the scripture, and one may question why the Vedic literature recommend their worship. There is necessity. Those who are motivated by lust want the opportunity to love something, and the demigods are acknowledged as the officers of the Supreme Lord. The idea is that as one worships these demigods, he will gradually develop Krishna conscious. But if one is completely atheistic and disobedient and rebellious against any authority, what hope is there? So one obedience is to a higher personality can start with the demigods. If, however, we take directly to worship of the Supreme Lord, worship of the demigods is not necessary. Those who worship the Supreme Lord directly show all respect to the demigods, but they do not need to worship them because they know that the supreme authority behind the demigods is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they are engaged in worshiping Him. In any case, respect is still there. A devotee of the Lord shows respect even to an ant. What to speak of demigods? The devotee is aware that all living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and that they are playing different roles only. You know, that's really good. That's the end of that paragraph. Because when we started, we were talking about part and partial, but it really shows how part and partial, just different aspects of it, because it goes to the ant or the animal. All are part and partial, and each one is playing a particular role. You know, it's really good because you think of, you know, we don't think of ant or particular little beings as part and partial, but as we sing, everything belongs to Him. Everything. Okay, so we can't, those birds that we hear in the morning, every morning when I wake up, And except for this morning, when I wake up to do my meditation, I normally hear them, but I didn't hear them this morning. I thought, oh my goodness. So I opened the door and I'm like, oh, there you go. They weren't as loud this morning, okay? But they were there. You know, those are those living beings, and realize that they are part and partial and they're playing a particular role. So that's just a really good, that's a really good paragraph. We're almost at the end. In relation to the Supreme Lord, all beings are to be respected. Therefore, a devotee refers to others as Prabhu, meaning my dear sir, my dear Lord. I didn't know what that meant. Okay, now I know. Prabhu, my dear sir, or my dear Lord. Submissiveness is a qualification for a devotee of the Lord. Devotees are kind and obedient, and they have all good qualifications. In conclusion, if one becomes a devotee of the Lord, all good qualifications will automatically develop. By nature, the living entity is perfect, but due to the contamination of lust, he becomes vicious. I think that's right. Vicious, vicious. Yeah. That which is part and partial, that which is part and partial of gold is also gold, and whatever is part and partial of the complete perfect is also complete. Isn't that beautiful? You know, you know, that's just beautiful. We are just covered up. We are just we are, our true nature is perfect, but it's covered with this three modes of nature, with the different desires that we want. Um, but in there, deep, 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 deep within our soul, we are perfect, like I say. You know, that which is part and partial of gold is also gold, and whether it is part and partial of the complete perfect is also complete. So it's like the gold where, you know, you have the necklaces. There's this one thing that I've heard. You have the jewelry and you have it melted down. It's still gold. Or if you have if you make gold jewelry, it's still gold from what it originally came from. Okay, and so that's how we need to look at ourselves. You know, we are part and partial of the Supreme. And let's go to the next one. The personality of God is perfect and complete because he is completely perfect. All emanations from him, such as the phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as a complete whole. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself, because he is the complete whole. Even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains complete, the complete balance. Due to the contamination of matter, the perfect living entity falls down. But this process of Krishna consciousness will again make him perfect through it. He can become truly happy, and after leaving the material body, enter into the kingdom where there is eternal life, bliss, and full of knowledge. Doesn't that sound wonderful? That is the end of our book. So we got to the end, and it was very juicy. We realized that we are part and partial of Krishna. We understand that um, God never changed, you know, as that block, as I said, that gold, or as it says in the book, um, he is always perfect, you know, but, and we are perfect, but we are definitely covered because of our lust and our desire. And the one that I really do like is that the material world, you're either gonna love it or you're gonna love God, because it's our love is being misplaced. Our We are made to love the Supreme, and by loving the Supreme, we do become happy. And I do understand that I get little glimpses of it in my life, because no matter what I'm going through, and I hate to say I'm going through because it just seems like I guess I'm going through it, but I just don't like to accept that. It's like if I accept it, then I own it. And I don't like it when I say it, and I can't think of another phrase, but whatever life throws at you, you know, I can, in little glimpse of still happiness. You know, when I think of Krishna, when I, even though I go through it, I'm like, I'm just so happy. I feel so good inside. You know, I do know some the outside look a mess. I don't know what I look like on the outside. You know, to others, probably a hot mess. Who knows? You know, at this point in my life, I'm starting to see it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter because this is not my home. This is not where I belong, and I want to go back to Godhead. So I want to learn as much as I can about the truth, the absolute truth, and to be able to just, you know, put my focus in on that. You know, I still have my other duties that I have to do, but that is my focus because when all is said and done, and I am learning in the work that I've done, none of that stuff you can take with you. I mean, I've met beautiful people doing my line of work that I'm doing, and you know, of course, a lot of them say we had a great life. Life was good, you know. Like I said, I may have said in the past, I met one woman. She owned half of Sanford, half of I can't think of that street. I want to say Van Ness Street, and this has gone through since the big fire. They've owned, her family owned this, and she was in control of it. And she was like, she knows she was gonna be leaving soon. She's like, this is harder than running a business, okay? So look at that misplaced love, you know, that misplaced love. Um, I've met so many people, but when it all comes down to it, none of the stuff that we gather, we can't take it with us. But the stuff that we get from God, the stuff that we learn from the absolute truth from Krishna, the Most High, we can take that with us. That goes with us. And we get the opportunity, if we don't make it completely, and if some, you know, when we pass away, because we all will, that we have that opportunity to be able to continue service, you know. So it's always better to try to be higher, to go higher. I'm saying this for myself, you know, to go higher, to just to go higher, to do higher, you guys. It is so worth it. It just makes my heart rejoice, you know. I come to tears because I'm thinking of the happy things where we want to go higher. We don't want to live this lowly life as poor, you know, below the animals, when we have the ability to be able to do better, to live better. You know, even right now, you know, you don't have to fall down to the mechanisms of this world. And I can't say that I am completely free from anything because I've always said that I'm a beginner, but I am starting to get some kind of sense on how what a good life is. I'm getting a sense of what a good life is. A life that is, or that will be dedicated to God. And it's not happening overnight, but you know what? You get those glimpses of it, you see it, you get those moments where um, you know that He got your back. You know He's right there with you. You know that you really don't, you don't have that fear. You know, it'll pop in, of course, because it's not solidified, you know, but you get those moments where you know this is not it, you know. But while you're in it, you still live your life. You still love your kids. I actually love my kids more now, you know, um, if that's possible, but not in a clingy way. Um, it's so all so good. So I'm gonna let you go. We got our 30 minutes in. That is the end of this book. And if you want a copy, it's very small and you want to read it for yourself, please let me know. I'll be glad to get one for you and send it to you. So thank you guys, and I will see you on the next book. Please come back. Please come back, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye bye.